first thing we want to do is, I'm going to just focus on the good side for now. Good is a string of numbers. It's not numbers because it's a string, but we can see it as numbers, and it will always be numbers. And as you can see, there is white space in between everything. So we want to make this into no white space, like no space in between the numbers. And we also want to make them actual numbers. So for that, we want to just create a new variable real quick. And we want to apply everything to be an integer to all of these with removing the white space. Now there's a function called map, and I will go through this in another video. But all map does is it has a function and applies that to everything else. So with map, we want to apply integer. So everything here will be an integer to good.split like this. What good.split does is it just removes all the white space over here. It removes any, not necessarily white space, it just removes any space bar in between them. So we'll be applying to good.split, which means it will just be ones, and we will make them into an integer. So now everything is an integer. And as we know, we're going to be using a zip function where we combine two lists together. So for that, we need to have a list. Now technically we can make this into like a set, for example. I'm pretty sure that would work, but I think a list is the most basic, straightforward to go. Next, we want to have the multipliers. The multipliers are just the different power levels. You can see the associated worth. It's 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, and 10. So I'm gonna call this variable G multiplies. G standing for good. And for that, we just copy paste this basically. Now that that's all done, we want to create a sum of the amount of good sides that this team has. So this will be the amount of people they have times the amount of the multipliers. Now, this is where we use the zip function. First, we want to create a new variable, and that is the total amount of goodness. So I'm literally going to call this goodness. Next, we want to iterate over every single side. So we want to iterate over this, and we want to compare it to this. And we're going to want to times them together and then add up all of the, we want to add up all of the results. So for that, we can do goodness. Now, remember what I did previously? We do the one list times the other list. I'm just going to call it n times t, because that's what I did when I first did it, and I don't know why I did that. So it's n times t. I think it's like the number of like troops they are, and I don't know what t is supposed to mean. Just stick with it. So we have nt for every n and t. So it's the same thing. This is basically the pairs. Think of it like that. We haven't actually used the zip function yet, so we have to use the comma over here. So we want to times n and t for every n and t there are. Now we need to actually set n and t. So this is where we use zip function. We use good x because remember that's the list. And we want to use it to the multipliers. Like so. Now that creates a list of tuples basically. And what we want is to add up all of them together. So in Python, there's this neat function called sum. And sum literally just sums up everything inside of a list, or everything inside of whatever object it has. Now, we want to do the same thing for evil. It's the exact same process. I'll just show that real quick, just to show that it's the same thing. We're creating a list, and that list contains integer of every evil, removing all of the gaps and making sure it's an actual integer and not a string. Okay, and these two logic is exactly the same. It's just one I did for evil, one I did for good. And now we are just going to meet up the last part of the requirements, which is just see who wins, see who dies. This part is simple enough. You want to just compare if one has more than the other. So if goodness is greater than evilness, then we want to return this statement. And then we just do it again for the evilness, and then if it's a draw. And that is it. If we want to test on this, it was a spelling mistake. I spelled multipliers wrong. It works. It works. This is the same exact code. I just rearranged it just so it's easier for you to see. It's the same. Oh man, why is it not working? It should work. That's the whole purpose of this. And that sums up for this video. Leave a like if you liked it, dislike if you didn't. If you want me to go over anything, leave a comment. If you think I suck, again, leave a comment. I'm open to any constructive criticism, and I'll see you in the next video.